Hello, we're going to be reviewing some Thundercleave from the LE perspective. We're going to start this off with RPS, so that's Rogue, Shadow, Priest, Resto Shaman. Generally at the high level it's played as Mutilate. In this game and the next one it's actually Subtlety. The first thing to talk about is your focus is defense in the beginning. You need to live through all of their cooldowns. The second you see this comp, really, frankly, the second you see any Resto Shaman comp, you're going to try to live through the opener, especially through Bloodlust. And so your priorities are stopping damage and helping your team live. They are not doing damage. We're going to walk through the opener real quick. I saw your Pally Divine Sacks the opener. That's fine to do. He should probably wait till the opener happens. I think he's trying to avoid himself getting sapped or something, but he should just red sack then, or do something like that. But overall, it's fine. Positioning wise, probably I wouldn't run in. To be honest, I'd set up on your own pillars with your Shaman and your Pally separated and the Warrior in the middle, and he'll try to shout them out. And then obviously Pally will consecrate, Shaman will Earthbind to try to get the Rogue out as well. But, sorry, you're in the middle of the map. We're going to watch the opener. Rogue saps you, opens up on Warrior. You actually should trinket this sap. The reason is if you do get hexed, it'll be a half hex, and then your Pally can always bop you out of the blind. And you want to basically be immediately trying to peel. Your Warrior actually should be trying to play defensive. Probably going to have to trinket the kidney. You do trinket the sap, nice. Looks like your Pally actually hodges the Rogue, and so he doesn't get the kidney off, which is really nice. And then your Warrior is trying to get away with intervene. So far you're playing this right. You go for damage here. Obviously, you're about to get sheared, so you have to try to avoid all this stuff and just start purging. I wouldn't worry about damage too much. You do get hexed. You are on global, and so you weren't able to ground it. You definitely should have tried to shear it. Your Warrior is now on top of them. He should be running away. You should all be running away, to be honest. Also, you see their lust. I would lust defensively so that your Pally gets better cooldowns, and then you should start purging. One other thing is that your Pally actually should bubble early, just so that he can basically not be interrupted and not be silenced and stuff in this opener. The opener with the dance is like really scary. You're going to want to do everything you can to get away. You see that your Warrior is disarmed. He's not going to be able to shield wall for a few seconds. He unfortunately already used intervene, so he's also not going to be able to get away. And he's dead. So that's what can happen against RPS. Basically, you have to play super defensively. Your Pally's going to have to bubble early. It looks like he's just about to press it. And you got to just try to get distance. And so your focus is on purging, shearing, grounding, and then knocking and rooting the Rogue. And just trying to help your Warrior stay away. Your Warrior shouldn't be attacking. He should be running away with one-hand shield, trying to use shield block, face the Rogue, all that sort of stuff. And this game's over. We're going to go to the next RPS. Alright, we are in the second game against the RPS. It's on the same map as well. So, a reminder, I would have positioned us here so that your Pally can line the Shaman, but you're up front. Not the end of the world. Again, I would trinket this. Looks like you're going to sit it, and then probably trinket the next CC. Your Warrior should be playing defensive, especially with his lust. You got to trinket and get these off. Looks like you're running into knock. It's really important actually that you knock the Rogue. The other guys don't matter nearly as much, so the ideal knock position is actually right here, because you'll hit the Priest as well. And you knock the Rogue, he'll step, assuming he's still Subtlety. I don't know, did we see a dance or anything? Assuming he's still Subtlety, he'll step to your Warrior, which is what it is. But then you can start rooting and slowing, and then he won't be able to do it again. Looks like he might have actually swapped to Mutilate here. Hard for me to tell, but regardless, you want to be keeping distance. Your Warrior wants to be playing defensive. Your Pally should have been bubbling. Looks like we got the shield wall off, so he'll last a little bit, but he's going to die as soon as the shield wall ends unless you get Bloodlust off everyone here. You hex in and grounding. It is what it is. Hex doesn't really matter here because the only person you can hex is the Shaman, and he has Trinket. You can then maybe get a Warrior Fear on him, but then you'd have to get the Fjord off. So it's a bunch of buttons. Shield wall's ending here. Your Warrior has to continue playing defensive. Basically, what you're trying to do is live through their Bloodlust and their big initial CC rotation, and then you just try to get distance on this Rogue. Your Warrior can be in one-hand shield the entire game, and that's totally fine. Eventually, you'll be able to get kills with hexes, with running the Priest out of mana, and a bunch of other stuff. So, but you're doing damage here. You got feared. I would just be healing here and not doing damage. Your Warrior's probably just about to die. I assume so, because your Pally's bubble's down. He doesn't have shield wall. Looks like you're trying to do damage here. Again, I'd be prioritizing defense, not offense. Yeah. Even if you get the rogue low, it doesn't matter that much. Like, you're not going to kill unless they're just not paying attention. They have so many cooldowns with Cloak, Evasion, Vanish, NS. Even the Priest can be off healing. There's a bunch of stuff, so you just want to be healing. It's actually probably the biggest difference between Thundercleave and other Ellie Shaman comps is how much you heal. You really want to be healing your warrior, especially against these super offensive teams like this. You want to be peeling and healing for him. So that means purging all the lusts off. That means rooting. That means grounding the Shadow Priest stuff, shearing the Shadow Priest stuff, and just trying to create distance and safety so that you guys can ultimately win just on passive damage that your warrior will output. Alright, the next matchup we're looking at from the same Shaman is against elemagedisc. This is a pretty hard comp against Thunder. I'd say this is probably, like, when you're playing Mage Elidisc, this is the thing you really do want to see. Your priority is making sure that your Pally isn't CC'd, especially doesn't get chained into Sheeps and Fears and all that sort of stuff. So that's the main thing you want to do. You want to never be next to your Paladin so that he can always get you out of Fears, you can always get him out of Fears. They can still set stuff up with deeps. The most scary time is when they deep your Paladin, and then they go to sheep him. If they have counterspell for you, then you're going to have to ground that sheep, or your warrior is going to have to stop it. I think these are played around 1900, so I don't know if they're going to have all that coordination to set all that stuff up, but generally you're going to try to avoid your Paladin being CC'd. That's the name of the game. Kill targets, Priest is a really good kill target for you, and then a Purged Mage is really great as well. You can hit the Shaman if he's the only one there, but your warrior should, trying to hit the Priest and the Mage more. And then you're going to want to be purging the Mage as much as you can. Alright, so remember that this is tough. You really want to avoid CC on your Pally as much as you can, so you're going to have Tremor in a good spot that's not next to you. I've noticed your UI, it's hard for me to tell what totems you have. One, this is the only preset you have. I can't imagine you're actually using this preset. Again, never use a preset that has cooldowns in it, and this has both Stoneclaw and Grounding. There's never a time I think you would want to drop that. So it looks like you have some other preset, and your totems are here. It's hard to see them because you don't have any health bars on top of them, but it is what it is. And we see the opener, they get a triple root into a sheep on your Pally. That's bad. Why did we not stop that sheep? I mean, it's a super fast cast, but that's the main thing you should be looking at is when you're when the enemy mage is sheeping. You got to stop this one, or he has to sack it. He's in frankly a really silly spot. He should be on the corner somewhere. So he gets full sheeped. Not a good opener. You're gonna want to play super defensive if you can. They lusted. I would actually probably trinket this deep because your Paladin is stuck in the sheep, and you got to make sure he doesn't get into another one. Looks like they broke the sheep and didn't bother redoing it, so it is what it is. You're in this Fear. Your Pally got CS full, so obviously he's not able to cleanse you. I think you still haven't trinketed. Where's your trinket here? Can I see it up here? Well, I can't tell, but looks like you did trinket. Did you trinket the end of that? You trinketed the 0.5 seconds. Yeah, so you trinketed when the deep was done. All good, but that's just something to look out for. Whenever your Pally is CC'd, that's when you're going to want to use your trinket. You're getting into a rough spot. Remember, you need to stop these polys. All right, there's a half poly on your Paladin, so now he's basically DR'd. He did trinket that, which is rough, and so he won't have a trinket for a future go. And he doesn't have bubble. Okay, how did we get bubble and trinket? Let's see. So right now your Paladin has both bubble and trinket available. He gets hard CS here, which is super bad, into a half. Okay, now he bubbles out of the half poly, and he trinkets. Okay, well that's just a misclick. That's really unfortunate. Your Paladin's bubble and trinket are the most important things here, because really the way that you lose is when your Pally is stuck in CC. But he accidentally misclicked it. Shit happens. Your positioning, you should be running for a corner. You're against all these casters. You don't want to be in the open. And right now I'd be prioritizing purging lusts off the DPS and then just purging the mage. You can also hex mage and go priest is a pretty good if you can set that up. Looks like their shaman used EM. You're still low. Things are sad. You just have to make sure your Paladin never gets CC'd again. So you want to have a good tremor. So I see that you just dropped tremor, and you want you and your Paladin to never be next to each other. And really, this is not about doing damage. It's about purging and then rooting and then staying far away. Frankly, you can be healing as well. It's totally fine to do so. I would probably go for a hex on that mage right there in the intercept after he blinked, and then go and try to hit the priest or something. All right. So your Tremor is dead. The Priest is over here. The Pally's behind you. I would be looking out for two things. One, the Priest to come in and double fear you guys, and then the Mage to get some distance and try to sheep your Pally. That will mean the end of the game. All right, you shear a Poly right there. He's going for Hex on your Warrior. This is now pretty rough. I can't tell where your Warrior's trinket is, but we'll see if he can get out of this. All right, sorry. That was also important. They're setting up a fear on both of you guys right now. So you don't have it. You have a Tremor down right next to you. Oh, someone just kills the Tremor. Maybe it was the Iceland Ascendancy, but your Pally is on top of you. This is really bad because the Priest is running in. He should be able to get this full fear. Yeah, so Tremor is dead. Priest is here. He just trinketed a Hodge in order to get this fear. So the interesting thing is you're not in the fear. They broke you out immediately, or didn't do damage, or didn't hit you. You resist it. Let's see what happens. All right, well, you're not feared, so you instantly Tremor this Pally. Tremor this Pally. Tremor this Pally. All right, you did not Tremor him. That was 5 seconds. You should lose this game. We're going to see what happens. But your Pally needs to be yelling at you to Tremor, but you should also see this. I don't know. It looks like you're using big debuffs. Make fears even bigger. Make dispellable debuffs huge. You need to notice when your team is feared and instantly Tremor them out. That should have been a bad go by them because their Priest even used a trinket. But we see this Poly happen. You literally have to stop this Polymorph or your team loses because your Paladin doesn't have bubble or trinket, and there's nothing you can do if you don't stop the Polymorph. You try to run. He's in a full Poly. The game is over. Alrighty. So remember, the trick here is not to do damage. It's not to try to kill them real fast. It's to stop the CC and to heal. And as we see, once your Paladin is out of bubble, out of trinket, you lose the game. Alrighty. This is the second game against the Mage LA Disc team. Let's see what happens. It's unfortunately... Oops. Let's mute it. It's unfortunately on the same map. Remember, positioning is hard over here, which is why that's unfortunate. Remember, your Pally doesn't want to be there. All right, something terrible happens here. This is so bad for you guys. This is one of the most important cooldowns your team has, especially what your Paladin has, which is Divine Sacrifice. This not only is like a mini shield wall on everyone, but it breaks your Pally out of every CC, which is how you lose this game. You need to use this reactively, like when they're doing a go. To use this in the opener is just like rough. Really, really, really rough. Alright, your positioning is so aggressive. I don't even understand it, to be totally honest. Like, Zac is going to wear off and they can just sheep your Pally here. I don't know why they didn't. Like, that's the freest sheep I've ever seen, and then they can just go you. Whatever, they're attacking the Pally. I guess he's sad there, too. He used his red sack, too, as well. Terrible blink and terrible block by the Mage, but whatever, you got it, which is nice, and so you can hit him in the future and then do stuff. I've seen you do this a couple times. You see these grounding totems up, and you're casting into it. Just purge it. Purge gets rid of grounding totems. Shear gets rid of grounding totems. Just get rid of it before using any mana or any buttons on it. Are they less? This is good for you because they're not really doing anything right now, and your Pally's not CC'd. The first thing you should want to do. Oops, I hit the wrong button. The first thing you should want to do when you see this is just purge, and you just tell your team, play defensive. I'm going to purge all their things. Start with the Shaman because he has less buffs, and then go to the Mage. So you're running at them. Maybe you're trying to purge. Oh, you lusted. Okay, wait. I missed that. Let's see when that happens again. There's our lust. All I'm doing is purging here. You lust instead. I don't know why. This is not a good lust. They can just get rid of it. The priest literally just MDs. I think you got off both of you at the same time. That's disheartening. That's one of your biggest cooldowns, and it's just gone, and you didn't do any purges. Now remember your positioning. This is exactly what you never want to see. You're all stacked on top of each other, and the priest is nearby. He can get a triple fear so easily, which just means that you lose the game. You still have your trinket, so you can trinket Tremor it, which is fine, but you want to save your Pally's bubble and trinket as long as you can. And you want to be getting these less off. Tremor's dead. Pally just got sheeped, I think. Did he trinket it? So he just trinketed that. I don't know why you can't see it, but your Pally uses trinket there. Why didn't we stop that sheep? Let's see. So it's happening right then. Alright, so we see the Mage. He's over here. Your Pally's here. He's trinketing. You had both ground and shear. This is super important that you got to do. Stop trying to be offensive. Your job is to stop their CCs and to heal your team before you're actually even doing damage. You got feared here, triple feared. It looks like Tremor actually broke you, which is very lucky. but then your Pally's now sitting 5 seconds of poly into 2.5 seconds of poly, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you're just going to be taking some damage. So the next CC chain you should probably just lose. We'll see what happens though. Your Pally, wait, why did he bubble? Did he bubble that half sheep? Yeah, he's half sheeped and he bubbles it. Alright, I guess, I mean, you're low. You did have Stoneclaw Totem. Try to make sure your uptime of Stoneclaw Totem is 100%. Whenever you're taking damage, you should have a Stoneclaw Shield. Like, even right now, the Shaman's just hitting you. You should be trying to avoid stuff here. Alright, they use Deep and a quarter sheep on your Pally. This is great. Your Pally is immune to sheep. Now all you have to do is make sure that you don't get double feared, and you're actually in okay shape. You still have Stoneclaw Totem, too. You're just taking damage. Don't die. Press Stoneclaw Totem. Your Pally got hard CS'd. Alright, you use it now. Frankly, it's a little bit late. Did you stop any of the damage, too, in that last, like, 5 seconds? You shared a lightning bolt. Let's see what happens. You have Stoneclaw. You're getting shattered. You're getting lava bursted. Yeah, you didn't stop any of that. That's. Oh, wait, you used shear. What did you shear? Maybe you sheared the shatter? I didn't see what you sheared. Let's see. Nothing? I don't actually know what you sheared. Well, you're dead. That sucks. You died in the hard CS because your Pally's actually immune to sheep right now. Obviously they could have gotten a fear and things could have went wrong, but you're in a non-totally lost state, and you just took a ton of damage from 2 casters hitting you. You got to shear that stuff. You got to ground that stuff. You got to Stoneclaw that stuff. But I'm trying to generally talk about the strategies of the matchup, so I wasn't really watching your grounds, shears, and Stoneclaws. Maybe in the next game. Alrighty, the last game we're going to watch is against an RMP, but I'm actually watching this, one, I'll go over the general strategies, but I'm watching mostly to see your shear, ground, and Stoneclaw uptime. They're super important, and I just want to make sure that we're doing a good job here. But as we get into the match and we see that it's RMP, I do that similar positioning, Pally over here, Shaman over here, Warrior somewhere in the middle. You can run at them if you want, if you think they're going to be slow, and you can Flame Shock, but I don't like that as much. And the things that you really want to be paying attention to here is they're going to try to CC you and your Warrior and then do a big go on your Pally with Shadow Dance. They're going to do Shadow Dance on cooldown, trying to kill your Pally. Or at least they should if this is super high level. And the ideal for them is fearing you, sheeping your Warrior, and then stuns and silences and stuff on your Paladin. They're going to do that 2 or 3 times and your Pally will die. They can go any of you, to be honest. So if they go with your warrior, or you, and then get your Pally's bubble or trinket, that's also bad. So basically, you want to try to make sure they're getting as little crowd control off as possible. So you should never get feared with your Paladin. You should generally try never to get feared, or at least if you do, you have a tremor in a good spot. And then you want to be hexing the mage on cooldown, because remember, you can't hex the priest or the rogue, because the mage can just decurse it, so you'd have to cross. And you want to be hitting anything. Any of these targets are good targets. The priest is the best target, to be honest, if he's alone. And then rogue is fine, and mage is good if you're able to purge all of his shields. But again, we're going to be watching this stuff. I think you do something. Yeah, I hate this so much. I hate this more than I think I can say. This is this hurts my soul to see. This is such a big cooldown, especially in this matchup, both to keep your team alive and to make it so your Pally isn't CC'd, and use it in the opener, and just nothing happens. Now you do trinket the sap, which is good. I like that you trinket the sap. You're now into a full deep, and your Pally is stunned. This is about to get bad. The priest should be able to trinket this and then triple fear, and then things are just rough. But we're gonna see what happens. Yeah, okay. So they got the triple CC there, by the way. Your warrior was sheeped. It looks like he just trinketed it. You were deeped, and they're going on your Pally. They paints up the rogue, which is interesting. Alright, so you're feared here while your Pally is CC'd. Yep, exactly. This is what's going to happen. That's why you don't want to stack up. You want to stay away from the priest, and you want to have a tremor in a good spot. One thing I saw too, actually, during your deep, you can use Thunderstorm. There's probably times that you could have used it here. So right now, yep, that would have stopped that sheep on your warrior. You can use it now to stop the shatter, now to stop another frostbolt, now to stop the priest from getting to you. There's a bunch of times that you could have done it, but you didn't quite get there. So they had a really good opener. You probably had to use a ton of cooldowns, everything but bubble, basically. Alright, remember, we're trying to watch for this stuff. So you should get bopped out of this. You're probably CC'd. Okay, So you get a shear off, nice, and now you can ground the next thing. Let's see if you do it. Ground. You didn't, and you get sheeped, which isn't the end of the world. You're going to get dispelled soon. But it's bad because the priest is getting positioning and then should be able to get a good fear. Oh, you sat like 6 seconds of that. Yeah, so you should have been able to ground that. Now you have your shear up and your ground is still up. Let's see what you use it on. You're deep there. Nothing you can do. That was a good kick by your warrior because you're in this gouge. You can just sheer flash shield there if you want. I don't love this hex because the mage can obviously just decurse it. They're running away from each other, but he gets it eventually. Alright, this shear should definitely not go off. It does. Alright. Or sorry, this shear. That sheep definitely should not have gone off. Okay. Now your pally gets full sheeped. How did that even happen? Alright, he's right behind you. He's sheeping. You have both ground and shear. Obviously ground is on cooldown. Use one of them. You didn't. Your pally sits a full sheep. I think that could be the end of the game because the rogue has dance up. Does he wall here? He does. So he shield walls. And he doesn't get the nice sheep. He was just too slow on doing his follow-up. But then you get feared with him, so it's also bad. Oh, Tremor works? How did you get another fear? It says drop Tremor, but you have it up. Your weak core is weird. He's evoing. The priest in the middle. Yeah, you can go priest. This is big. Alright, this sheep shouldn't happen. You can just ground this one. It's on your warrior, which doesn't really matter, to be honest, but still, could have done it. You can definitely shear this one. You sheared the wrong target. Alright, I'm wondering what your... oh, wait, you used ground there. I'm wondering what your macro is for... Oh, you're just... we're laid on the ground. Alright. I'm wondering what your macro is for shear, because you've done this a few times where you shear your target instead of like Arena 3. Looks like you might actually win this game, but like the mage just got another. Oh, did you just not have shear? But you used ground accidentally there. Yeah. So there, if you don't have shear or ground and your pally's in a bad spot, you should start hexing the mage so that you can interrupt his cast. But your pally's full sheeped. This should be so bad. Warrior doesn't have shield wall. You get full feared. You trinket it. You might as well shear this stuff and then purge the priest. I don't even know what stopped that last sheep on. Oh, he divine sacked again. Well, you win this. To me, this shows the power of Thundercleave against RMP more than this particular strategy, but I do think there's a lot that you can work on sharing ground. You were in target this game, so we didn't see Stoneclaw, but in that last game, I think you could have had significantly more uptime on it as well. But thank you for sending all these clips in. GG's, and best of luck.